SHARAN stands for Sanctuary for Health and Reconnection to Animals in Nature. And the whole thought process there was most animals in nature know how to be well. How come we don't? And just listening to our body can help us heal. So, eczema, allergies, and asthma, why have they been all put together? Because they all have similar etiology. They all, the causes of all of these things are similar. And before we go there, I just want to share with you a few basic concepts of health. So, the first is that our body always works to heal. That means if we produce eczema, it is our body's attempt to heal that has caused the eczema. So we should actually welcome the eczema and try to understand why it's there. And so for other diseases as well. And disease always goes from less important organs to more important organs. For example, the skin is a relatively less important organ, though it has a lot of importance. And that's why when we are pretty healthy, but not completely healthy, our body manifests symptoms on the skin. Now, if we try to remove those symptoms by unnatural means, like applying some medication or trying to suppress it with steroids or something like that, then the disease goes deeper. And so eczema could go, with some treatment, eczema could become allergies, and allergies can become asthma. And so it's going from skin to deeper organs to upper respiratory tract infection, maybe, and then finally to lower respiratory tract infection. Now, our body speaks to us through symptoms. So, any symptom that we get is our body's plea to tell us that we need to change something. And if only we can understand what that thing is that we need to change, and this is what we're going to talk about, and make that change, we are going to get well. Now, removing symptoms with medication will only cause recurrence. And most of us know this. Like, for example, someone who has eczema and applies something, the eczema may go away, but it comes back. Similarly, someone who has asthma and, uses an inhaler, the asthma will come again, right? So, and if it doesn't cause recurrence, it will go deeper, right, to more important organs, because then the body is going to shout out to you even louder in its attempt to heal. So it is our duty to understand the cause of the problem and remove it. I often give the example of diabetes that, and that's because everybody knows about diabetes, that when someone gets diabetes, they usually go to the doctor and doctor tells them cut down sugar and cut down carbohydrates. Everyone does that and nobody gets well. And the main reason people don't get well is that high blood sugar is just a symptom of diabetes. But the cause of diabetes is insulin resistance. And if we understand the cause of insulin resistance, it will go. And that's all we're doing. That's what reversing diabetes in 21 days is all about. Now, we are going to first talk about eczema, but before I go there, I want to introduce you to Rosemary Parambi. Rosemary attended our 21-day retreat several years ago. She'll tell you about it. And that's where she started recovering. That's where she learned about all this. And now she's totally a new person and she's helping so many people get well. So Rosemary, would you like to join and tell them all about what you've been through?
Thank you, Doctor. Hello, everyone. I'm here today to share with you my journey to freedom from allergies and eczema. Now, what you see before you is a former version of me, a version more than 5.5 years old. So just imagine that right now it is daytime and it is a sunny day. So on a sunny day, I could not go out without covering myself up like this. Because if I went out without covering like this, without protection, then I would get angry red patches of rashes. And this could also trigger eczema. And I would have painful oozing sores, which I had to cover up. So therefore, I went out into the sun all covered up. And it was not just sunshine and heat that I was allergic to. There were 62 items, 62 things that it was confirmed that I was allergic to. Even hot water, long exposure to water. So I had to keep my showers really brief. Vitamin E, which is a rare allergy. I was also allergic to gold jewelry. Imagine that, an Indian allergic to gold jewelry in summer, and silver jewelry if worn for more than a few hours in any season. So then I learned to manage to keep this as quiet and calm as possible by avoiding all the triggers, by avoiding as many of the allergens as before, as it was possible to. However, I found that from time to time, I would still have rashes, I would still have outbreaks of eczema, but I accepted it as something that was part of my life. Then in 2018, I attended a 21-day retreat held by SHARAN in Gokarna. And it wasn't even for my allergies that I went for this retreat. I was already about 90% plant-based for about a year and a half by the time I went for the SHARAN retreat. There were some improvements, yes, but not totally. So it was, I went for the retreat because I wanted more recipes to make healthy and delicious food for my family. And I used to suffer from IBS at that time. So I wanted a safe space in which to experiment with weaning myself off from yogurt, because I believed that it was the yogurt which was helping to keep my IBS a little quiet. And I booked single accommodation. It was, I was that scared. And I used to suffer that much. So I booked single accommodation for myself, not double accommodation. So it was about halfway into this retreat that I realized that I could go out into the warm sunshine of Gokarna without any of this. So I took off all the protection and I found that I could happily go out without suffering any ill effects, no reaction. And that is the way that it has stayed till today. So it was not just skin allergies that I had food allergies too. I could not even cut pineapple. I could not wash strawberries. I could not even go near any kiwi fruit without my eyes tearing up and itching and me getting breathing difficulties. I was also intolerant to fruits like apple, chiku, custard apple, and also guava used to produce some unpleasant consequences. So I had all these allergies. But after coming away from the retreat and after being 100% whole food plant-based, after a while, I found that my allergies had calmed down, had gone away, and I was not getting any more attacks of rashes or eczema. And so I decided to experiment with the fruits. Now, can all of you see these fruits? There's pineapple, there's strawberry, and there's kiwi. So I decided to eat pineapple, and then strawberry, and finally kiwi. No reaction. No reaction. And I've been happily enjoying these fruits to my heart's content. Whatever fruits are in season, I can eat without any issue. And I enjoy all these fruits to my heart's content. So it was not just these things that I got relief from. I got relief from joint pain. I used to have brain fog, issues with concentration, issues with sleep. And that went away. My skin became much better. I used to have oozing sores, but my skin became much better. I used to have on my neck, I used to have on my arms, but all this became much, much better. And slowly, all my allergies have gone away. I'm allergy-free now, except maybe nickel, if it is there in some item in large concentration. I'm still a bit allergic to that. That is all. Out of those 62 items, only nickel. So now, after having experienced this, I do not want to go back to my old way of eating. Mind you, I come from a tradition of eating a lot of meat, a lot of fish, and a lot of eggs. But I desire health so much. I do not want ill health. I desire health so much that I do not want to go back to the old way of eating. And today, I'm a very, very enthusiastic promoter of this lifestyle and this diet. And I also help people and coach people to go on this particular path. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening to me. Thank you. And thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Rosemary. And I just can't imagine that, someone cannot even tolerate water on their body, but now you have long showers. That's really amazing. And that you can eat everything. That's just amazing. And what about your IBS?
Sorry, my IBS has also gone away.
Isn't that amazing?
Amazing. My IBS used to terrify me. That has also gone away.
Wow. So that is really awesome. And I know that you're a big inspiration to all the others because whatever allergies, and I mean, there are very few people who have something as severe as you did, and now it's all gone. Isn't that totally amazing? So thank you, Rosemary, for sharing that. Okay, I'm just going to go back to my presentation and we're going to talk a little bit about eczemas as well now. And so here are some images of eczema. This is what Rosemary's skin could have looked like when she had all these problems, but she hasn't had it for a long time now. So eczema is itchiness, dry skin rash, discoloration. It could even be darker, and it's very common in children. Of course, it can occur at any age, but it's common in children because in children, it manifests on the least important organ, which is the skin. And often in children, it's suppressed, and then it goes deeper into asthma or allergies. And it's chronic, like it's difficult to get rid of, but it's not contagious. And it's not as chronic as we think, because when Rosemary did everything, and obviously in the 21-day retreat, she hardly had a choice. She had to do everything, but she was ready for it. And when she saw that things just started getting better one by one. So the main causes of eczema can be one, genetic predisposition, like something from our genes, but it can also be an immune system problem. Very often, eczema occurs as a result of vaccinations. And that's why it so often occurs in children, because they are the ones who, before their immune system is mature, are given a multiple vaccinations and then they develop eczema. And then environment or chemicals in the environment. And I remember that during COVID, there were several people who told me that because they were using hand sanitizers, they developed eczema on the hands because of those chemicals. So this is something that we can avoid. Chemicals that we are using all the time. Chemicals can enter our body in a variety of ways. We often don't think about the chemicals, like the non-organic foods and the packaged foods are full of chemicals. And then, toothpaste and mouthwash and various things we put in our mouth, medicines, of course, are chemicals, right? And then things that we put on our skin are also absorbed inside, like the soaps and shampoos and perfumes. Perfumes are, they have a lot of different chemicals, and hand sanitizers and cosmetics, lotions and deodorants, and all of these things, shaving creams and all can cause these. So if your skin is dry, it's really good to put on it some edible oil that's less likely to cause problems, because if it goes in your body, it's something that you could have eaten anyway. And then also chemicals enter our body through breathing. For example, the agarbattis and the air fresheners and the window cleaners and the toilet cleaners and the scented candles, phenols, naphthalene balls, etc. These are chemicals that are not meant for our body, but they're going inside. So we can minimize chemicals. And that's why, SHARAN also did a whole program called Eco Kaki to help people learn how to make their own home care and personal care products just from things that they would have in their kitchen, things that were edible. And then there can be emotional triggers, like stress can trigger eczema. And dairy is one of the big triggers. In fact, sometimes children have eczema just because even though they are not having dairy, they are just consuming their mother's milk, but the mother is consuming dairy and the child gets eczema. That means if the mother stops consuming dairy, child's eczema will go away if that's the cause. And so these are some of the things that we can start getting rid of right away. So how to prevent or reverse eczema? Number one, a totally plant-based diet. You saw Rosemary, who before she came to 21-day program, she was largely plant-based. She was still eating a little bit of meat, and because it was cultural for her, and probably some dairy as well. Of course, dairy, because she was having yogurt, right, for the IBS. But she came and she took it all out, and things started getting better. We need to minimize chemicals, obviously. We need to avoid known allergens. That means you can write a diary and write down what happened that day, what could have been the trigger. And after a period of time of writing this diary, you may know what are the known allergens and then start avoiding them. I mean, that's what Rosemary did. She had to avoid 62 different allergens plus the sun. Imagine that. And water. Like, can you imagine not being able to have a long bath, not even being able to go for a swim? Wow. And then we should avoid drying the skin too much. So we shouldn't use harsh soaps or long hot baths, because the skin, one of the problems is the skin is already getting dry. And we should moisturize the skin with suitable edible oils. That means you can try different oils. You could try coconut oil or almond oil, and sometimes one oil may not suit you, but another may. Sesame oil, whatever you think is going to work, or whatever you are comfortable ingesting previously. Because now, with a whole food plant-based diet, we obviously want to minimize the intake of edible oils. And then avoid tight and synthetic clothing, because that's rubbing against the skin, and the skin can't breathe through synthetic clothing. And of course, if the trigger is stress or emotional issues, then we have to work at that area, which is why nowadays at SHARAN, we're having more and more workshops which are related to your emotional well-being. Now, the complications of eczema can be, because the skin is dry, the breaking of the skin and oozing and infection. And one of the best things to use for this, I think, is calendula mother tincture. Calendula is a substance which is made from the marigold flower in alcohol. This mother tincture is in alcohol. And all you have to do is not douse the place with calendula, but just put some calendula mother tincture on some cotton and clean the infection and then throw away the cotton and let it dry. And usually this helps. Now, sometimes this is an image of psoriasis. Psoriasis can look like eczema, but psoriasis, there's some scaling of the skin all the time, so it's a little different. And psoriasis is an autoimmune disease. So if you want to learn more about how to get rid of psoriasis, you can go to our YouTube talk on autoimmune diseases, and that will help you. Now, after this, so a few important tips for most skin complaints that we can use are, remember that the skin complaints are the last to go. That means if you have diabetes and asthma and skin complaints, you're going to have to get rid of the complaints from within outwards. So if you're still taking medicine for the asthma, the body may still manifest on the skin. So the first thing to do is understand the causes of the deeper problem. And once the problem starts going, in fact, when the problem within starts going, the skin complaints can become worse, but then they'll clear out and they'll go. So ideally, never suppress a skin problem. Just minimize it or ameliorate it by applying some, edible oil or something that soothes it, that is not harmful or chemical. And treat the skin with respect. Like often we think that we can put anything on our skin just because the skin is going to protect us from that substance going inside, and that's not true. Neither with us nor with fruits and vegetables. Like when we spray fruits and vegetables or plants with chemicals, it goes right inside. And when we apply chemicals on our body, it goes inside too. Avoid steroids, ointments, harsh soaps, chemicals, antiseptics. I've seen people, just apply a whole lot of antiseptic medicine on their wounds. That's not required. We just need to clean it and keep it away from infection, further bacteria, and just allow the body to heal. The body knows how to heal. And then avoid all home care chemical products. That's it. Just avoid the chemicals. Now, the next topic that we're going to take up is allergies. But before I go there, I want to ask Raji, who's here with me, to share her story. So Raji, would you like to share your story? And Raji is one of our facilitators, and Raji's been doing a number of courses which are longer. She's a yoga instructor, and she's combining courses with food and nutrition and helping people stay on the path a little longer. So Raji, do you want to share about your story and also the courses that you do and why you do that?
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Doctor. I'm Raji Vivek. I'm from Abu Dhabi. So, welcome to this free talk. I'm a yoga therapist by profession. Let me share my journey. Around 2010, I moved to a part of Bangalore where it is filled with pollen, and I developed this allergy, pollen allergy. So I started sneezing continuously. There was chronic sneezing, and I developed, into lung infection. My lungs, I wouldn't be able to breathe. So that became like a wheezing attack, asthma attack, and I used to rush to the doctors. So they gave me antihistamine, cetirizine, and then nebulizers. Sometimes if the attack is severe, I even took a Derifilin injection to open up my lungs. And this kept on happening, very frequently. And I was really worried. So the doctors gave me the solution that before you know you are going to step into a dust or a pollen grain area, just pop in cetirizine, antihistamine, that would help. And I also noticed the stress is triggering the wheezing. So in office, if I have a big presentation, I will have this anxiety that what if I get a sneezing attack? And my sneezes are really loud and everybody can turn. So I was really anxious, and that stress, that anxiety triggered even more, and I kept on popping cetirizine tablet. So this was happening around 2013. I had to move to Abu Dhabi, UAE. So this change of place helped me. The attacks were less, and I was not sneezing that much. But whenever I used to travel back to India, I would get attacked. Right from the airport, when I catch a taxi and go to my home, I would end up sneezing the whole time, and I had to visit doctors. My mom even said, "Stop coming to India if you're going to be sick." So this situation kept bothering me. So I slowly understood the benefits of yoga. So I started with sun salutation, the Neti pot cleansing, all the other techniques, pranayam, everything helped, and I could see my lungs are getting better. My wheezing, the severity came down. But then when I go to a place filled with dust, pollen, pollution, the attack would come back. So, when I was exploring yoga, the concept of ahimsa, I came across the cruelty in dairy industry. Then I understood that glass of milk is filled with so much cruelty. Why do I need to take it? So I researched more. I went through the websites like No Meat Athlete, Fork Over Knives. Then I understood the health benefits of dropping dairy. So I was exploring. I didn't know how to change my kitchen yet, but I said I will not have dairy. So I stopped milk, curd, everything. And 2018, when I came to India, I was not sneezing. So in fact, I lowered the window in the taxi and sniffed around, and I was telling my husband, "Hey, this time I'm not getting sneezing. What is happening?" Then I related. I just dropped dairy. That was the only change I did in 2017, and from 2018 onwards, I didn't get that severe attack. And if at all I get little bit of sneezing, I do that nasal saltwater rinsing that helps, and I never had to use inhaler, nebulizer, or any other medication. So I understood that actually dropping dairy, I could reverse my sneezing. But I still had so many other health issues. I was feeling tired all the time. I was, having fevers and stuff. So around 2019, just like you all, I came across a free event by SHARAN. One of our facilitators came to Abu Dhabi for a free talk. Then I came across SHARAN. I read about doctor. I read her reversing diabetes in 21 days. And then I did all the courses during pandemic. There were so many online courses from SHARAN. I did cooking, basic cooking class, 6 weeks to health gain, and 10 steps to health. And I became a student of SHARAN, and I could see my own health transforming. I didn't have to visit any doctor, no fever, not a single tablet. I was not getting COVID. So I could see, I could realize my full health potential. So that's when I decided in 2021 to join Doctor and her incredible team, and I completed my SHARAN Facilitator course. So last 2 years, I'm doing a lot of workshops, wellness workshops, where I combine the yoga and the whole food plant-based lifestyle, the magic of it. And not only I have transformed my health, now I see my our workshop participants transforming their health. So it has been an incredible journey. Thank you, doctor. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, Raji, for sharing. And, I'm sure that everyone's inspired. And so allergies like that going away, like you just can't be in Bangalore because the minute you land, you start getting allergies and they're gone. That is really amazing. Thank you, Raji, for sharing that.
Thank you.
Okay, so back to my presentation now. And we are going to talk a little bit more about allergies. So allergies can manifest as a number of symptoms, from itchy, runny nose to cough and sneezing and redness and itching and blisters to frank asthma, edema, and even vomiting and diarrhea. So depending on how allergic you are to the substance and which part of your body is less strong, it can manifest anywhere. And the most common food allergens are number one, dairy. That's why, nowadays when you go to a five-star restaurant and you see a buffet, often they write contains dairy or contains the second one is wheat, because so many people are allergic to dairy and wheat. Why are we allergic to these substances? Because anyway, they are not our food. Every mammal produces milk only for their young, and we're not cows. And so naturally, we shouldn't be consuming cow's milk. And Raji just explained that, when she found out about the cruelty in dairy, that means if we consume cow's milk, it means a calf has been starved, right? So she just knew that she had to change. I can understand, because I just wonder how any mother can consume dairy knowing that when we consume dairy, another baby doesn't get its rightful share. So, for all reasons, whether it's just to get rid of allergies or just for, ethical reasons, we have to let it go. And wheat, similar. If you see green fields of wheat and rice growing in the village, our mouth doesn't water because we can't really eat those foods raw. Like every animal eats their food raw. And so uh, today we have wheat and rice in almost every meal, right? Honestly, in India, we have dairy, wheat, and rice in every meal. Because when I say dairy, I mean milk, cheese, butter, cream, paneer, ice cream, curds, buttermilk, ghee. And the best part is that there's so many alternatives for these that need not cause allergies. And then nuts. Why are we allergic to nuts? Because often they write nuts as allergens as well, and that's because nuts are also not our real food. So imagine if you're under a walnut tree and you have all these walnuts, but you have to crack them open with a stone in nature. For human beings, it's very difficult to open a walnut. Imagine walnuts which a squirrel can open. We can't open. And that's the beauty of nature, that every species has its niche. And nuts are not the best food for us. Now, walnuts are relatively easy to open, but cashews are more difficult, and almonds are also difficult, and pistachios can't even be opened without heating. That means it's not the food that nature or God designed for us. So if we want to get well, we have to just keep thinking, what did nature design for us? Similarly, shellfish and fish people are allergic to. And nowadays the sea is so full of so many chemicals that it's literally dangerous to consume fish. Also full of so much plastic and microplastic. And then eggs too. We think that it's easy to get eggs and eat them, and eggs are really quick to cook. But a normal hen would lay about 25 eggs a year. Today, we're making hens lay 250 eggs a year. And this is with the help of chemicals and hormones. And so naturally, it's not the food for us, and definitely not in the quantity that we eat it. And peanuts are a common allergen, especially abroad. And I'm not sure why, but I believe that because peanuts in India, not so many people are allergic to peanuts. The peanuts that we get look very different from the peanuts that you might find abroad. And that's because I think those peanuts have been genetically modified, or the pesticides or the chemicals used on them are not suitable for us. And then soy. Soy is another product that has been genetically modified. Remember that there are countries that have used soy for ages. Japan and China and Thailand and Indonesia, they've been using soy without any problems. But nowadays, so much of the soy is used for animals in our food chain. And so to produce all this soy, we're using more pesticides. And then, of course, so much of it is genetically modified. And now we have soy allergies as well. Otherwise, soy is nothing more than just a bean. And then MSG, which is in most ready-made products, processed foods. And nowadays, so many people are getting allergies to red meat after tick bites. But of course, both MSG and red meat are not our real foods, right? And then there are, and of course, non-organic foods. I remember that one of our doctors who was with us in SHARAN before, he was allergic to cashews. And since we make several things out of cashews, he always said, I can't eat this and I can't eat that. But after some time, his allergy just disappeared. And possibly because nothing else big changed except, of course, his diet, but possibly because he started using organic cashews and organic other foods, and the chemicals that were going into his body were less. And then other common environmental allergens are pollen. Like Raji was getting allergy to pollen as well as dust in Bangalore. And dust mites also can cause allergies, and mold can cause allergies. And then, of course, even uncommon allergens like Rosemary was allergic to all these fruits. Fruit is the best food for us, and yet she was allergic to it. So we can't expect the allergies of foods that are not natural to us to go away. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. But definitely the foods that are natural to our species will go away. The reason our body tells us that, wheat is bad for us or eggs are bad for us is because anyway, they're not our food. So we shouldn't indulge in that. And of course, all the chemicals, we really need to minimize chemicals. And I live in a rural area where people are burning plastics every day. And this is also something that's very harmful. Luckily, I don't have symptoms yet, but I'm just saying that we are creating this situation where we are always surrounded by chemicals, whether it's someone who sprays so much perfume and then walks into your office, or you sit in a taxi and they have the uh, air fresheners and all these things. These are the things that we really need to avoid. So the causes of allergies beyond all this are, number one, excess proteins. Proteins are high histamine foods. So even in naturopathy, if we want to get rid of allergies, we need to minimize the proteins. That means avoid all the meat, fish, chicken, eggs, dairy. Now, these are the proteins that you can easily overeat. Like, anyone who eats these would have said that someday they overate cheese or paneer or ice cream or chicken. But it's very rare that we say we overate dal. And the reason for that is that dal contains fiber. When we eat foods with fiber, we automatically eat less because we get full faster. So we need to minimize eating animal products, actually remove all the animal products, and also avoid the refined proteins. For example, tofu is a refined protein because it's made from soy milk and the fiber is removed. That doesn't mean you can't eat tofu at all, but if allergy is your problem, you want to decrease the excess protein, then you might avoid tofu, or you might have only limited amount of tofu per week. I would say first avoid it altogether. And then foods that are not meant for our body can evoke an allergic response that we saw, so we have to avoid those. And then chemicals and even medicines can provoke an allergic response. Like, for example, we often tell people to take vitamin B12 and D. And sometimes if their levels are too low and they need to take injections, they should always go to a clinic to take that injection, because very rarely, but sometimes someone can be allergic to any injection. And so we need to take injections with a lot of caution. So now the solutions to all these allergies are avoiding the allergen. That means stay away from the allergen to the extent possible till your body has a chance to heal. And then, just like rosemary, you might, or Raji, you might come in contact with the allergen and find that, oh, now I'm not allergic to this anymore. Or you could try that allergen in small quantity after 6 months of staying away from it and doing everything else. And you may find that you are not allergic to it anymore. And if you still are, you may try again after another 6 months or another 1 year. But eventually, these allergies should go if you're following all these guidelines. So the second thing is be completely whole food plant-based. Just imagine Rosemary from almost whole food plant-based to, I mean, she literally came to the 21-day retreat to learn how to cook more healthy food. She wanted to be whole food plant-based, but not 100%. But she did it and she saw the results and she went on. And then organic, avoid the chemicals, have a healthier microbiome by keeping all the fiber intact in your food. The fiber is the microbiome food on which our good bacteria grow to develop a good microbiome. And our gut bacteria literally helps in improving our immunity. So, you know how Raji talked about her immunity improve. She stopped getting colds and coughs. And then handling the emotional component. This is very important. Like, how can we handle stress in a better way? Because stress is never going to go from our lives. But how can we learn to deal with it without getting so stressed? And then clean up the environment, minimize the chemicals, have a good night's sleep at the right time, and minimize medications. Medications literally bring diseases deeper into our body. For example, allergies can go into asthma. Now, what is asthma? Here you see a person with the bronchiole on one side, which is normal. This is the left-hand side. And on the right-hand side, you see a narrowed bronchiole. And so when we have asthma, we take a bronchodilator so that these narrow windpipes are dilated so that we can breathe easily, because they have become narrow. So the body always works to heal, and the body creates the constriction of the bronchioles in order to help us heal. Why do we do that? In order to help us heal. Just imagine if you go to a very polluted environment, then you're inhaling pollutants or particles into your lungs, and the body has to throw them out. And the only way it can throw them out is by narrowing the pipe so that it can push it through the narrow pipe upwards. Because if the pipe is very wide, it's hard for the body to push it out. So causes of asthma are, number one, milk. Because from allergies, it goes into asthma, and milk is mucus forming. If we cut out all the dairy, we'll get fantastic results. Of course, allergies can result in asthma, skin diseases suppressed can result in asthma, smoke and fumes and air pollution can result in that because it's bad for our body. And even non-inflammatory, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs like ibuprofen, aspirin, beta blockers, these are common medicines that can cause asthma. And of course, stress and emotional issues as well. Now, inhalers are used to dilate the bronchioles, and this can actually harm because the body is trying to throw out the mucus, but with the inhaler, the mucus stays at the bottom of the lung and dries up. And then we can collect mucus at the bottom of the lung, overall decreasing the lung capacity over a period of time. And then we have something which is much more difficult to heal. So inhalers are not very good as a solution. And on top of that, they have their own side effects. For example, steroidal inhalers have all the side effects of steroids, which are high blood sugar and osteoporosis and acidity and so on. And then they can also cause soreness in the mouth and thrush. Thrush is a fungal infection in the mouth, which you can see as white patches and redness and soreness. And these are difficult to get rid of. Bronchodilators have their own side effects, which are trembling, particularly of the hands, and headaches, and dryness of the mouth, and palpitations, and even high blood pressure, and muscle cramps, and cough, and nausea and vomiting, and diarrhea, and so on. So we don't want to take medications if we can avoid them. So our solutions are going to be a whole food plant-based diet, especially avoiding dairy. Then everything should be organic. Avoid pollution in the environment. Air purifiers and masks can help in this case. And even, filters in the house can help. Cleaning the environment regularly, using a vacuum cleaner, getting rid of the mold, getting rid of the dust and the dust mites. And of course, yoga and pranayam, and you saw Raji's case, and breathing exercises and steam inhalation can help to moisten the mucus and help bring it out. So what you can do is take a steam inhalation and then lie on the bed with the head off the bed and have someone pat you on the back so that the mucus that has collected at the bottom of the lungs can loosen and perhaps come out. And remember that when disease goes from deeper to more superficial, that means if we can go, instead of having a lower respiratory tract infection or a lower respiratory tract problem like asthma, to an upper respiratory tract problem like colds and discharge of mucus, it's better. The body is trying to heal. Please don't stop that. I'm going to invite Shalini now to speak. Shalini, would you like to share your story? And Shalini is one of our facilitators and also one of our consultants, a nutritional consultant, and she's helped so many people. She's also a diabetes instructor, and she's helped so many people through consultations as well as through her events. So Shalini, please share.
Yes, doctor, thank you. I'm more than happy to share my journey from sickness to wellness. So what I'll be talking about is 10 years back. So around the age of 20, I started developing a lot of sneezing bouts every single morning, and cough and cold was a natural occurrence to me every week almost, never knowing that I was heading towards asthma. And what I did was I tried allopathy, homeopathy, Ayurveda, everything under the sun, even alternative therapies, but nothing worked. In fact, my medicines increased, which included anti-allergics, antihistamines, steroids, inhalers, and nebulizer became my bedside buddy because I developed asthma finally. For good 10 to 15 years, I was under the treatment of a renowned chest physician in Mumbai. And after 10 years of taking continuous medication and everything, my doctor warned me that I will end up someday in hospital if my lifestyle continues like this. I come from a Rajasthani family, and our culture had food which is high on dairy products. I used to drink 2 to 3 glasses of milk a day, would consume paneer, ghee in almost all Indian sweets, mawa, butter, cheese, and dahi yogurt was like a staple ingredient in every meal for me. And while I was on so much medication, not knowing that my gut microbiome was also gone for a toss, I started developing IBS symptoms too. And one fine day in 2005, I landed up in hospital, as my chest physician told me, with ulcers all from the tip of my tongue throughout my intestines. And doctor could only say the main reason was so much of medication or maybe stress, anxiety, which I developed by consuming so much of dairy products also. And when I look back, I think that breakdown was blessing in disguise. I could decode it. And while I could not even tolerate a drop of water, naturally, I was given intravenous medication, antibiotics. And in that process, I lost my voice because there was so much of stress with so much of medications and the food and my lifestyle. I lost my voice for almost 3 to 4 weeks. That was another blessing in disguise, which took me to introspection of my life for getting or making myself a healthier me. I enrolled myself after getting discharged from the hospital into a yoga teacher's training in Mumbai, Santa Cruz, and Mumbai University. I did course on American College of Sports Medicine as a nutrition counselor, and I started researching more. I came across in 2013 a doctor in my neighborhood who is an endocrinologist also. Luckily, this doctor believed in a plant-based diet, and he advised me to go off dairy. And under him, I did a diabetes educator program too. I was wondering if nothing works, so let me try to, eliminate dairy from my diet. And as I started eliminating dairy, one by one over a period of 4 to 5 months, I could see a marked improvement in my health. My sneezing completely stopped. My cough, cold recurrences remarkably came down. My asthma attacks came down. And I felt like I was breathing more freely. And I went to my chest physician, again, after a couple of few months. He still kept me on a baby dose of inhaler. He was naturally happy with my, lifestyle. And he said, okay, continue doing that. But he said he has to keep me on baby dose throughout my life. I was still not convinced that why I had to take it when my health was improving. Anyway, I was still looking for some more solutions because I thought I'm doing right by doing yoga and everything, but still 30-40%, I was still, not feeling that great. Though my medicines talk remarkably, I was feeling healthier. And when you intensely want to improve more, universe conspires you to get to a more better place. And that's where I landed with Dr. Nandita's one-day seminar of reversing diabetes and hypertension in Mumbai. And after the end of the day, I was so convinced with the whole food plant-based diet, and I understood where I was going wrong. So fiber was lacking in my diet. And after a couple of more blood tests, I understood that I was allergic to gluten too. And when I completely came into whole food plant-based diet, my energy levels got better, where I was not able to even walk 1 kilometer brisk walk or climb one floor. I started training myself in marathons, and I did my dream run half-hill marathon. I started learning swimming, which I was so afraid of. My energy levels got better, and I got that taste of freedom from medicines. And naturally, when I was staying in a joint family, I had struggle of, converting to a plant-based diet, making in a kitchen, cooking myself separately. Initially, yes, there were hurdles, obstacles, but I stayed put. So consistently, I was in the kitchen morning, evening, cooking for myself, making, healthier salads, smoothies, soups, and oil-free cooking I started doing. And naturally, my family, environment also changed and they also started liking my cooking. So I'm happy to report that I'm no more on medication of any allergy or asthma or antibiotic. For the past 7 years now, I'm totally medicine free. Thank you for hearing me out. And thank you, doctor.
That's great, Shalini. And did you lose any weight after cutting out all that ghee?
Yes, 10 kgs.
Wow, that's really amazing. And you also had IBS, right?
Yes.
And that's gone completely now?
Almost 99%. Little triggers here and there while traveling. If I eat something, some more oily food or a constant more cooked food, but otherwise I'm completely free of IBS also.
Amazing. So congratulations for doing it despite your traditional Marwadi family and despite their, obviously not wanting to change, doing it all alone in a joint family and slowly, slowly letting the joint family also accept these kind of things. Congratulations for that, Shalini. So Sharan has a 5-point plan that's very important, that everything should be plant-based, 100% plant-based, whole foods. Don't peel vegetables, fruits that you can't peel with your bare hands, and definitely don't eat refined foods like oil and sugar and white rice and white flour. There are fabulous alternatives, and we have wonderful recipes on our website. And eat organic foods as far as possible and check and supplement vitamins B12 and D. It makes a huge difference. And most of us are low in these vitamins if we're not supplementing. And some of us are supplementing and we are not supplementing properly. And so it's too high as well, which is also bad. So how can Sharan help you? We have a website with so much information and a whole FAQ section and a resources section and more than almost 600 recipes. So please do have a look at our website and our recipes. We also have free publications that you can download or you can buy a hard copy. We have an amazing YouTube channel, and this very talk will be on our YouTube channel, which means other talks for other ailments are already on our YouTube channel. And then we have a good WhatsApp broadcast list to give you little tips every day so that you can keep in touch and get better step by step. We also have a newsletter that goes out every 2 weeks and a whole bunch of events so that you can pick the events that are suitable for you, and many of them are free. We have a Hindi salad revolution coming up, and Reena will tell you more about that. And then we have consultations. Like we have a team of doctors and nutritionists who can do consultations for you online, no matter where you are in the world, and help you get back on to your, total highest health potential. And then we have retreats like the one Rosemary came to. We also have a 1-week retreat coming up in January. And Rosemary came to a 21-day retreat. And here we control the environment. We serve the food. We have cooking classes every day so that we make this your habit and so that it's easy for you to do when you go back home. Here are some of our publications that are available for free download. And that's really it from me.